Lloyd Davis, and the farm is Red Basket Farm. I've actually been involved in farming to some extent for most of my life, but doing what I do now, which is specialty crops or vegetable crop farming, it's really been since about 2005. When I first started, the farm consisted of about 1/4 of an acre of sweet corn. And I sold it in front of the house on a little folding table, and that's really kind of how it all started. I've since progressed pretty much every year to where now I'm farming on about 20 acres, also doing year-round production using high-tunnel greenhouses, so actually farming 12 months out of the year now. Actually, throughout the course of the season, there's almost 70 different varieties of things. Obviously not all ready at the same time, but from beginning to end. If it's a good year, there's about 70 different varieties. So literally from A to Z. In the spring, when it's time for greenhouse work, because I start all my own plants, so I start everything from seed, have a greenhouse, grow it out in the greenhouse, and then we transplant from there out into the field. So in the spring, if we're still doing greenhouse work, if we're transplanting in the field, doing field work and all that, it could be 100, 120 hours a week, easy. During the regular part of the season, 40, 50 hours is probably pretty common. You have certain weeks where there may be more, but then also there's certain weeks where there's less too. During the winter, when I'm working in the greenhouses, you're probably looking at 20, 30 hours a week. The majority of the product is moved through 2, sometimes 3 different farmers markets, one being here at Tremont. I also do another one in the Akron area. But what I have found, especially this year, is a lot of the products are starting to move through my restaurant accounts. So I have several restaurant accounts. I do have a couple of wholesale accounts, meaning grocery stores. So I do have 2 or 3 different wholesale accounts like that. But the part that I see that is growing the most, specifically this year, has been on the restaurant side of it. I do have one restaurant that they deal with some specialty greens. So I grow those specifically just for that particular restaurant. But for the most part, everything that I grow for here also does well at the markets, or I mean at the restaurants. The basics, tomatoes, cucumbers, onions, peppers, squash, that kind of thing. What works well here seems to work well with the restaurants as well, with a few specialty things added.
My farm is Wonder City Farm. I've tried working in various fields, and I think I found a passion for farming that I didn't find in anything else that I've tried. This is, I think, my 5th or 6th year as a farmer, running my own business. Prior to starting my own farm, I worked on a small-scale organic farm in Oregon, which is a state on the west coast. I think it was a 12-acre farm, and I worked there for 3 seasons. When I first started, the size of the farm was less than 1/4 acre. Since then, I've expanded to, I think I'm growing on maybe 2 acres this year, and I think at the most I would grow on maybe 4 acres. It varies seasonally, but I'd say time spent at the peak of the season, it's at least 60 hours. In the winter, it's more like 20 hours a week, just doing planning and getting supplies together for the next season. I market products primarily at 2 farmers markets, one in Peninsula and one in the Cleveland neighborhood of Tremont neighborhood of Cleveland. Occasionally I will sell to restaurants, but markets seem to be the best thing for me, just because, you know, the scale I'm growing at, I kind of need to make retail prices. So time spent on the farm is very much focused on just the growing of the produce and harvesting. Off the farm at markets, you're very much dealing with people pretty constantly. So you have to, you know, learn how to communicate with people effectively and just try to meet different people's expectations.
My farm is called Erie's Edge Farm. I have been a farmer in Cleveland for 2 years.
My name is Erin LaFay and my farm is Erie's Edge Farm. This is my 4th season farming, but my 2nd in Cleveland. I started doing an apprenticeship in Pennsylvania on a CSA farm, and then I worked on a farm in North Carolina before I moved back. Erie's Edge Farm grows all different mixed vegetables, flowers, herbs, and some craft materials.
Tomatoes, onions, eggplant, winter squash, peppers, herbs, greens, cucumbers, zucchini, a lot of different things, and cut flowers.
Last year I had one city lot, and this year when I joined partners with Molly, we now have a ½ acre.
I sell my products through a CSA program where people have bought or paid ahead and then they get a bag of produce every week. I also sell here at the Tremont Farmers Market, and when we have a lot of surplus or a specific product for a restaurant, we sell that to a restaurant. Well, I like to be involved with the community, and the farmers market and the CSA are very community involved. You can get a little bit of a higher price at a farmers market than you can at a restaurant. The CSA is a way of assuring that our product is sold, and so that's sort of a safety net for us. And then the farmers market is great for a community movement.
I don't like to think about how many hours a week I spend. No, it's my full-time job, so at least 40, definitely more.
Well, in the height of the season, at least 10 hours a day, and it's 5 days a week, if not more. So then right now it's a little less, so about 8 hours a day for 5 days a week.
When we're outside, we're doing everything from preparing beds to planting and seeding, harvesting, maintaining. And then the business side, we're working on our newsletter for the CSA, putting together, keeping our finances straight from our sales at the farmers market.
I think for me specifically, I think something that has helped me is being very detail-oriented. Like I try to present a product that is as high a quality as I can. I think I'm just kind of determined. Like, farming is not an easy profession, so I think it's, you know, if you're not necessarily cut out for it, it's not something I think anyone would just stick with.
You have to be able to do all the physical side of things and not be, like, you have to work in cold, all sorts of weather. But also, I was a business major, so I think that definitely helped me learn just that side of the marketing and just doing really careful planning with your money and stuff like that.
Probably one thing to consider, at least for me, when it comes to growing, really that's the easiest part of it, is part of the farming. I think the other experiences and things that you can bring into it is, you know, I have a degree in business and economics, and marketing is a huge part of it. I think that's a very, very important part of the business. You need to be able to network and connect with people. You need to be able to work with, I have a website, I do a lot of business with the website, and a lot of my orders are done via email and text, you know, on my phone. So there's so many different aspects to it. You know, not just the growing part, but really, quite honestly, I think the marketing is probably 75% of it. You know, being able to get in and talk to chefs, or, you know, talk to the produce manager in a grocery store, and being able to interact with him at all different levels. And really knowing your product, especially when you go in to talk to a chef. I mean, it's important to know what it is you're growing, but then what you can do with it too. And, you know, that's another aspect with the farmers market. I mean, when I bring product into the market, if somebody asks me, what do I do with this? You know, knowing basic recipes or basic things that they can do with that product helps sell. So
Would be just be really creative. Make sure you have lots of streams of revenue. Don't depend on one way of making money. Have backup plans for everything, for selling your produce, for if a crop fails, and always just be creative. I mean, you don't want to be growing the same thing everyone else. You don't want to be doing the same thing as everyone else. So always try to think outside a box. And by starting a farm in Cleveland, you already are.